Since Resident Evil 9 is coming out in just a few months, I've been really addicted to replaying these games, so why not try and complete them all on the game's hardest difficulties and get an S+. And by all the games, I just mean 2, 4, 7, and 8. Resident Evil 4's S+ has already been posted, and I will leave the link to that in the description. To get S+, it's pretty simple. Complete the game in under 2.5 hours, you can only save 3 times or less, and lastly, no infinite ammo weapons. The game does allow you to use the unbreakable knife, but I'm not going to use that. For this playthrough, I'm going to be doing it on Claire Scenario A. I haven't played her story in like 2 years before this, so this would only make things harder for me. Luckily, mostly everything is the same as Leon's apart from a few sections, but this would still be a difficult challenge. While this challenge seemed pretty easy at first, it got pretty bad in the later section of the game, though it still does not compare to how bad Resident Evil 4's S+ was. The day is September 29th, 1998. We join Claire Redfield on our way to the Raccoon City Police Department looking for our brother Chris, or better known as the guy that likes sponge boulders. We stopped at a gas station to pick up some beer so we could drink and drive, cause that's always fun. We end up coming across this officer on the ground who has been attacked. Walking into the back of the gas station, he decides to lock us in there with whatever is back here with us, which is just so sweet of him. Walking through the store, finding this guy eating out this other guy. Sorry, wrong room. You could shoot him, or you can just run right past, pick up the key, wait for him to walk past, then run right by and open the other door. We run into the one and only sexy Kennedy and leave the gas station with him as it becomes overrun with zombies. Not long after we entered the city, the truck driver that ran over an innocent child wanted to raise his KD even more by trying to kill us. The car explodes, launching Claire and Leon in separate directions, somehow not killing or even injuring them. Lots of zombies blocking the road to the RPD, but luckily I had my running shoes on and run past them all while freaking out on the inside. Inside the RPD, I decided to immediately go lay down on the ground. I was tired, okay? Coming across this officer banging on the metal door, begging someone to open it. Me, being the kind Samaritan I am, I rip him in half. A zombie is waiting outside of the door for me and opens it for me. How sweet. You can avoid getting grabbed if you wait by this door, but I accidentally ran into the store, so somehow he managed to catch up with me. I seriously should have been able to outrun him there. That's crazy. I decided to keep going. I did have one first aid spray that I could use, but I wasn't ready to use that just yet. These two zombies come out and block the path. Sometimes, and as far as I know is completely random, you can avoid getting hit. Well, that didn't exactly go as planned, off to a great start. Luckily, it happened right at the start of the game, so I just decided to reset. As it was with Resident Evil 4, as long as you quit to the main menu and load the most recent save, the timer will reset, so I wasn't losing any time needed for the S+. Crawling back under the gate when a zombie grabs Claire's feet, I didn't know dead people could have a foot fetish. Either way, this gentleman saves me and bashes his head in like Glenn from The Walking Dead. We get to talking and he says there's a way out underneath the statue and hands us the dead officer's notebook that gives us the combinations for the puzzles. But don't worry, I have my own notebook that has all the combinations. Marvin was unfortunately bit, so he can't join us. So he hands us his knife and we leave to explore the RPD by ourselves. Going through this hallway, I accidentally run into this guy who was hanging out. I hope I didn't disturb his peace too badly. Climbing over the wall, which I don't really know why this was even open, but whatever works, I guess. For this guy who was unsurprisingly at the vending machine, I put a few bullets in him until he fell to the ground. When shooting it, if you wait for the reticle to go small, it increases the chances of getting a critical hit. But no matter what, I want to take out some of these guys first to save me some trouble later on. It might seem like I'm taking a lot more time here, and I am, but it's a lot safer, so it's worth it. Running up the stairs, taking out some more enemies, grab this key and run all the way back down. I decided to grab this extra hip pouch as well as a speed loader for my revolver. Back in the main room, Marvin shows security footage of Leon just staring at a gate. I mean, seriously, what was he actually doing here? Before running over, I grabbed my first medallion needed for the exit. I should mention that I made a lot of trips to the item box to drop off heals and other resources. My goal was to save as much as possible for later on. Heading over to Leon when a helicopter rudely crashes into the side of the RPD, causing up to hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of damage. I really hope they plan on paying for that. At the gate talking with Leon, or I guess flirting? Yeah, I guess this seems like a great place to continue the Redfield bloodline. Why not? Zombies sneak up and we are forced to go our separate ways. I grab this bolt cutter and patiently wait for Marvin to shut up so I can open the door. When going through the store, as long as you're quick, you can avoid getting grabbed. Heading into this other room, grabbing this fuse and going back out to put some stuff up. There were a few times in this playthrough where I would have to backtrack to some room to make sure I picked up all the loot that I may need. I grab the valve wheel after dropping some items off and head upstairs to turn off the pipe. Thanks, Carlos. Running through this hallway when a licker starts eating this guy, instead of fighting it, I ran into this office while being afraid for my life. In this office, there's a grenade launch that you can get as long as you got the key card from earlier. To avoid these guys, you can just walk and they won't hear you. Just make sure you don't bump into them and everything will be fine. Here's the second medallion needed for the exit, so I quickly grab that and drop it off. In this library, there are a few enemies that you should take out right now instead of later when you're running from Mr. X. It just makes things a lot easier. Just make sure you don't forget about this guy as I almost got grabbed. With the detonator, I grabbed off some desk and the battery I stole from Wesker's desk. I have everything I need to get the last medallion. Taking a shortcut through the library by going up the slider and through the store into the room with the last medallion. I start off by placing the explosive in the conveniently placed C4 and run back out the store to avoid getting trapped in here with some very nice people. I also blast this guy until he falls, that way I don't have to deal with him. After that, I grab the medallion by doing this very easy puzzle because I am so smart and definitely did not use Google. Why would I do such a thing? Anyways, the Licker wants to join in on the fun, so I explode all over him and run out of the room. Now that I have the 3 medallions needed to leave the RPD, I head back down and run into Marvin again. He refuses to leave with Claire and we leave on our own. Here is where I use my first of the 3 saves of the playthrough. Some small child is here for some reason, then this guy comes from the sky like he's Jesus and knocks me down. This guy's pretty easy to take out. For some reason in this game, the more FPS you have, the more damage you do, but it only works with the knife. At least I think that's how that works. If it's not, I never said anything. So all you gotta do is hold down the slash button, throw down a grenade, then a flash grenade, then slash away a few more times. For the first few attempts, I didn't know that I could hold down the button, so I just kept pressing RT, causing me to knife slower. Then I would get hit and would restart because I saved 2 minutes ago, so if I can do this fight without using any heals, that's what I want to do. After a few attempts, I take him out and move on to the RPD parking garage with Sherry. This fat ass comes from the shadows, beats the shit out of Claire and kidnaps Sherry. Yeah, I'm going to kill him. This basement is filled with lickers, but as long as you walk and don't bump into any of them, you'll be fine. I will say though, I was terrified in this part. One wrong move and I'm dead. I quickly rob this dead guy's body for the key and head back out running into more lickers. Once again, I walk past everyone. I actually bump into this one here, but I guess he didn't care. After grabbing the key, I head up the elevator into the chief's office. At this point, I have a good amount of ammo, heals, and gunpowder saved up, which is perfect. I also grabbed the first gear needed for the clock tower puzzle and head outside. Putting out the fire the helicopter caused earlier and ran into this gentleman with a top hat. He seems exactly like the kind of person you can trust. I ran away from him to avoid getting grabbed and move on. He's actually really easy to avoid the entire time he's chasing you, so I don't have to worry about him at all. Sometimes lickers would not be possible to walk around, like this guy who was blocking the entire path. Seriously? So he jumps on me, which is never nice to see. After grabbing the jack needed for the library shelves, I go to the clock tower and do the puzzle. And now that I have that all done, all I need to do is fix a panel in the office to leave this place to find Sherry. After entering this cage, or whatever this is, the phone rings. Chief Irons is watching me on the security cam. He has Sherry locked in this room. Pretty simple to escape. Grab this cube, solve this puzzle, which took me forever to solve. It was kind of embarrassing. Downstairs in this weird ass workshop or whatever, I try to steal his keys, but he of course hears me. Upstairs, he locks us in this room, which is really easy to avoid. I was a bit nervous going into this part because it's been a bit since I have saved, but luckily he didn't see me even though my heart dropped when he ran into me here. Sherry steals his key and ran back downstairs, only to be confronted by the monster we killed, or I guess thought we killed earlier. I killed Chief Irons. I mean, I'm glad he's dead, but I kind of wanted to be the one to do it, but I'll take it. Back with Claire, we need to get to the orphanage and save Sherry while also avoiding Mr. X. I went the wrong way thinking I had to go the same way as you do for Leon's story, and he almost grabbed me, but he sucks, so I escaped. I was able to avoid everything here without wasting a single bullet or any heals, which is always nice. Inside the orphanage, running into Irons again, who gives birth right in front of me. Sherry is still inside the room, and we go down the elevator with her only to be attacked again by Mr. X, but then William rips him in half. That was really sweet of him. Thank you. The elevator crashes and waking up, Annette, who is Sherry's mother, has taken her somewhere as she's infected with the T-virus. Oh, she seems like a wonderful mother. Yeah, no, she couldn't care less about Claire or Sherry, her own daughter. So I of course have to help her. The whole sewer section was kind of the start of things going wrong. I would need to use more heals and ammo, which would cause even bigger issues later on as I went through almost my entire stock of resources that I left in the item box. In order to open the store to save Sherry, I have to first find 3 chest pieces. Overall, they are pretty easy to get, but I did use a good amount of ammo. The first target are in this area that is filled with whatever these are. The first one I couldn't run by and was forced to kill it, but the others I could. As you can see, I was poisoned, but I didn't have any blue herbs. Thankfully, there was one in the room up ahead. Another zombie is here, but after I take him out, I grab whatever loot is in here, the chest pieces, as well as a spark shotgun. Not the best gun, but great for an enemy later on. The last spark plug is next to this bridge. Here is where I could go up to the RPD and grab the SMG. At this point, I wasn't sure if I'd have the time for that and still get NS+, so I decided to skip it. I still think that was the right choice, despite my chat telling me that was stupid. After doing the puzzle and opening the door, I decided to use my second save before I moved on. The door to Sherry is locked because, I mean, of course it is. The power was in the next room over, so I went over, and as you can see, I knew exactly what switches needed to be turned on. As I try to go out the door, I am attacked for like the 20th time and am forced into a boss fight. This one was a bit tricky. You need to do enough damage to him, then slam his container into him to kill him. It is possible to get it done in one go, but I wasn't able to. I died multiple times here as I couldn't outrun him. This was also around the time I was playing a lot of Resident Evil 4, so I kept trying to parry his attacks. I think you can guess how that went. I died multiple times, but then I finally knocked him down into somewhere. I don't know where that goes. I rescued Sherry, and did Annette really just put her daughter here like garbage? This doesn't seem like you're protecting your daughter by letting her die here alone. I don't know though, I'm not a doctor. After she abandons her daughter, me and Sherry take this thing down to the lab to try and find a cure here. So far, the game has been fairly easy with only a few deaths. This is where everything changes. After laying Sherry in this room, Claire heads out on her own. The first area took quite a bit of ammo. This was the start of the domino effect. After taking them out and putting in these codes, definitely without looking it up because why would someone do that? Here's where things get worse. I have to turn on the power here to actually get into the room, needed to cool down this antitoxidant, but then liquors come crashing down from the ceiling because why would she give me 1 minute apiece? There are for some reason so many enemies here, so I used a lot of ammo in my final save of the playthrough. Eventually I get what I need to turn on the power, I go back down to where all the liquors are and turn the power on. Still easy to do as long as you walk. Now that I have the antitoxidant, or whatever this is, I have what I need to get the keycard. So I put it into this machine and it knocks on the guy who was holding it. When I pick it up, I was fully expecting Mr. X to show up as I forgot that's only Leon's story. So running back was where things started going wrong. These guys woke up again. I didn't know that and I don't really have the ammo to spare to kill them, and running past them doesn't work. Everything was going great until here. Luckily I saved at the start of the slab section, but that still means I have to go through all those enemies again. At least this time I know exactly what I need to do. Yeah, I die again, and again. I was actually starting to tweak. I couldn't figure out how to get past these guys without using all my ammo. So after many deaths, my dumbass finally figured out a way. I shoot this guy with an acid round first, wait for him to die, then stun this guy by shooting his weak spot. Now I can run past, turn the power on, and on the way out I shoot the guy and run past everyone else. And finally make it with a bit more ammo. I finally get my hands on the cure and save Sherry, but not before William comes back from the dead for like the 5th time, and Claire volunteers herself to go fight him. What the hell, Claire? Throw a nut into him, and sacrifice her, not yourself. Well, since Claire put herself in this situation, I have nothing. No heals, not a lot of ammo, and I've already been hurt, so I'm one shot. There was one heal down here, but that's all. It wasn't a great first attempt to say the least. I had to do everything again. At this point I become a masturbator to these enemies. I could avoid them and get through this section pretty quick. This was by far the worst boss fight. I was doing so well early on, but then I would take a hit and heal, thinking I would come across more heals later on, so it shouldn't be an issue. Oh, how wrong I was. Using those extra flame rounds earlier, those extra heals, killed me in the game and IRL. I spent over an hour dying over and over again. There were multiple attempts I would get close. That one was rough. Eventually I rage quit for the day as I couldn't get past him. If I had one extra heal, everything would have been perfectly fine. I also saved at the start of the section and not right before the boss fight like I should have. On the second day of this run, literally nothing changed. It was just me dying over and over again for an hour and a half while crashing out. This was not fun at all, so I ended up rage quitting once again. A few hours after I ended the stream, I wanted to try and fix all the mistakes I made earlier, so I go back to my previous save right before the sewer boss fight. I made it past without healing after a few attempts and got back to the lab where I of course died and almost threw my controller across the room. I think I actually slammed my controller on my desk and all the batteries fell out like Legos, but hey, it still works. And for the 3rd time rage quitting and then getting back on like 20 minutes later to try the same thing, this time things went smoothly. I kill Birkin in the sewers, avoid all the enemies in the lab, and make it into the room with a cure. This time I save my last save for this section. The main issue with the way I was doing it is it would send me back pretty far, so it would take a while to get back. But now that I saved here, I'm 20 seconds away from the boss fight even if I die again. Since I spent a bit more time looting and saving as much ammo and heals as possible, I was going into this fight way more prepared. Yeah, I still died multiple times. Finally, after another 20 minutes and a total of 3 hours in the lab, I defeat him. Fuck you, Birkin. Now that I had the cure, I saved Sherry because her own mother couldn't care less about her and we go down into this long elevator. The spark shot is pretty useful here. I shoot both these guys once and it kills them while I wait for Sherry to open the door, and we move on to the train. I have a quick flirty talk with Leon, and grab the minigun and the piece needed to power the train. This final boss fight is really easy. Just shoot his balls all over and maybe blow him up a few times and eventually he will start crawling. By then you could just leave him and the timer will run out and you'll be good. But I still had some ammo in my minigun, so I'm of course going to unload into this bitch. Yay, I finished, and now we're leaving Raccoon City with Leon because he just had to catch a ride with us. He's probably confused as to who the hell this kid is. But who cares? Game's over, I got the S+, the only thing I wanted. Why? I don't know. I just wanted it. Yeah, this game's still peak, even though I said multiple times during this playthrough, and all of it was said during the lab portion of the game, that I hate this game more than anything. Yeah, I was just crashing out, but everything's fine now. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe. I'll be working on my Resident Evil 7 Madhouse video next, which should hopefully be out within the week, but I can't promise anything. And if you guys want to see me play these games live, I will leave the link to my Twitch in the description, and thank you all for watching.